couple of weeks ago, the COD team were discussing rotations, and I volunteered to kind of remove myself from the COD team. And I gave my reasons why. And those reasons, they resonated with the rest of my teammates. And they basically said, well, I think you should tell the company that. So that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to talk about myself a bit. But in order to understand these reasons, sorry, a bit emotional. You have to understand a bit about my history. So I was a normal kid. Well, I thought I was normal. That's a better statement. I thought I was normal. So when I was 6 years old, I basically wrote my first computer program on a ZX Spectrum. When I was 10, I wrote my first cheat engine so I could hack the video games I was playing. And in sixth form, there was a year-long project that we had to do that got externally marked. And I wrote a video game. It was very similar to like Quake or Doom that you guys know today. It was very similar. Written in assembly, its own graphics engine. It had to get externally marked, and the marker sent it back, said, they don't understand it, they can't read it, and it was impossible for any child to have written this. So I got 0% for it. I mean, obviously the teachers got me my marks back. I still thought I was normal at the time. So then I went to university. I got 100% for every single one of my computer courses in all 4 years at university. In essence, I could have literally written the exams and not gone to university and probably passed because I was self-taught. I already knew everything. The lecturers for computers would actually come in to me and ask me for help with their computer programs they needed help for. And I still thought I was normal at this stage, because I was nothing special. This is just who I was. And then I started working. So work for me was very easy. Obviously, I got into computers. It makes sense. I had to go out of my way to make work challenging and interesting wherever I went. I worked at many companies, and I had this routine where I'd go to a company, I'd do 2 years of work for them, and then they'd run out of work or interesting work for me to do, and it became really boring and not challenging at all. And then I'd move on. And I had the same fear when I came to PortSwigger, by the way. You can speak to my colleagues in the pro team. I literally raised with it to we got the small application, Burp Suite Pro. It's I'm going to be done with it in 2 years. That didn't happen. So this was 20 years of my career I spent working doing this. During this 20 years, there was a bit of pressure and stress because I had to know all the answers, weirdly enough, and most of these companies I worked for, there are a lot of startups. And if I failed or if I didn't know the answer, basically the company would go under. So there was a little bit of stress and pressure that I felt. And it was during this time, these working years, these 20 years of my life before I came here, that I knew I was different, right? I knew I was not normal. I was good. And to be honest, I was better than good. I was the best. And I have to really get this point across, because what I'm about to say now is less about me and probably more about you guys. And so I really want to get this point across. I fundamentally knew my strengths and weaknesses to the T. I knew what I was good at. I knew what I was bad at. And I didn't need to work on any of them. I didn't need to work on my strengths or my weaknesses because I was just so much better than everyone else. Right? My strengths were so good and so much better than anyone's. And the people in my team are smiling because they know this is true. I've thought this. Right? My strengths were so good. My weaknesses didn't matter at all. Right? They were pointless. Right? Also during this time, because I was so good and so far better than anyone, I actually had no one to learn from. Right? It was tough at that way. And to put it, for those of you who don't try, to just get this across, I came up with this analogy. I was like David Beckham, and my teammates were toddlers. And my opposition was toddlers. Okay, so I hope you understand this word here, right? Because I fundamentally believe that to my core. And then I joined PortSwigger. And for the first time in my life, in 20 years, I'd found my people. So just let that sink in, guys. I'd finally found like my people. It was like I'd been walking in the desert alone, and then I found civilization, which is basically you guys. A lot of people here suffer from imposter syndrome. I know that because I've spoken to a lot of you. I had reverse imposter syndrome, right? Because I was so comfortable here. I was surrounded by, Messi and Ronaldo now when I was Beckham. And the pressure went away as well, because all these other companies, I knew if I didn't know the answer, basically that was the end. But over here, I could fail, and I knew someone else would know. It was awesome. I felt so good. And for the first time, since I was basically 6 years old, I could actually learn from people. It was awesome. But of course, thanks to my previous speech, you know what happens when you join a group where the strengths are as strong as yours? Your weaknesses start to shine. They stick out like a sore thumb. And I'd never worked on my weaknesses because I didn't need to. And I started getting constructive feedback. Right? And because of who I was, and I hope you understand that, I struggled with this feedback, right? It just didn't make sense. But thanks to Raji, and I credit a lot of this to her, but she probably had support around her, like the culture team and stuff, who gave her the tools to work with someone like me, who was like basically probably a complete asshole. I was able to process this feedback. I didn't say I took it all on board, but at least I was able to process it with her help. So even with this feedback, I didn't change, or I didn't think I changed, because even then I still had this incredible sense of self. I knew what I liked, I knew what I didn't like, I knew what I wanted to be, I knew what I didn't want to be. I had an incredible sense of self. So I processed the feedback and took it on board. And the thing is, over 4 years, I grew as a person without actually knowing it. It's hard to explain. And people have told me, like the Sean, of 6 months ago, is very different to the Sean of 4 years ago. But that was not because I was trying. That just happened because I think of the people around me. It's just, like a rising tide rises all boats. So everyone around me being good kind of raised me. So then COD happened. And this is a big moment for me. I don't actually know what happened in COD. I'm still processing it. It's so much changed, as everyone knows, between November and February. There was a massive upshift. So I don't actually know what happened, but in COD, there wasn't much programming, not much computers. There was a little bit, but it was like completely outside of my comfort zone, right? There were problems that couldn't be solved. I was doing things that are outside of my skill set. We also failed a lot, which I'm not used to. Another thing that happened in COD was there was company-wide interaction. So when I was in the pro team, I was sort of isolated in the pro team. But over here, I actually got to meet and interact with all of you through various means. I heard your struggles, your pains, your ideas, your solutions. And I was blown away. In 20 years, no one impressed me, but you guys did. I was amazed by the people and the skill you guys have. And something clicked. But it wasn't like an epiphany. It was over the entire course of my time on COD, right? And I wanted to raise my game now because I met all of you and I actually saw the excellence around me. It's like, I actually want to get better and actively work on it, which is very different to what was happening before, where Raji was making me better without me even knowing. And so I actively engaged in my growth. I started asking for help, and there was tons of it. I got a development coach who's really pushing me. And I started working on my portrait. And to show you the quick turnaround of this, the portrait came out in November last year, and I remember looking at it at the time, and I'd already been here a long time, looking at this portrait and saying, this is not for me, I don't need this. I was wrong. I actually started looking at the portrait, working on it, and it's like, it is an amazing tool. So I volunteered to leave COD, and I can literally say it's the best 4 months of my working career. And I would love to stay in COD forever because it's so good. I mean, what might change? But what I learned while in that COD team is I really want PortSwigger to succeed because of you guys. And another thing I learned is I can't do it alone. And I don't have to do it alone. If all COD does is change people's mentality, like it changed mine, we're going to be amazing. And so that's why I basically wanted to leave, because I actually wanted someone else to go through what I went through. And I think you can speak to the other COD members today, and I think they are probably going through the same thing. So these are my truths that I learned. So this is the summary of everything going on, right? If you work at PortSwigger, you're good. That's just a simple fact, straight from my mouth. Doesn't matter what anyone else is telling you, I'm telling you that. If you think you can't improve, you're wrong. There's a lot of support learning here. Let's just ask anyone. You can walk up to a random person and ask for help, and it's amazing what you'll learn. And many people fear change, but if you want to be amazing, you should embrace it. Before I end, I just want to specifically thank people out there. And I don't think anyone's done this before, but I want to thank those people that gave me constructive feedback. You know who you are. There are quite a few of you, quite a few. But it was thanks to you guys that I'm actually here today and actually super happy to be here. Do you have any questions?